Hi guys, it's Dwayne from CodeWheel. Over the next few videos we're going to be building out a blog homepage using Tailwindcss. In this video we're looking at scaffolding our website, creating both a Tailwind and PostCSS config files, and then finish off by adding our custom fonts and colours to the website. Okay, then back to the design. At the top of the page we've got the logo with the navigation, we've got the main story at the top, underneath is 6 blog articles, then we've got 2 panels at the bottom, one for the webinar, one for online university. We've then got an email sign up, and finally we've got a standard footer with some social media icons inside. Okay, now let me look at the design, let's start building it. So I've already created a folder inside VS Code. So first thing we need to do is create an npm package. So if we open up the terminal, if we type in our npm init -y, this will create us a package JSON file. Okay, so now we need to install Tailwind CSS and a few other modules. So if you just load at the Tailwind site, excellent. So documentation, cool. So we need to install Tailwind. I'll be using npm, so if you do npm install Tailwind CSS, so I also know that we're going to need auto prefixes, so I'll install at the same time. And we're going to need PostCSS because that's what we'll be using to compile it. I usually use Gulp, but since I'm not using any Sass or anything, I'll just stick with PostCSS. Okay, that's installing. Whilst that's installing, we go back to the Tailwind website and see what the next step is. So they said we need to create a CSS file with the Tailwind directories in. This is straightforward to do, so let's do that. Okay, so if we create a new folder, the structure that I think I'll go for is we create a folder called CSS build, then main.css. Cool, there's our CSS file. So now let's go back to the Tailwind file and copy the directories that we're going to need. Excellent. So now that we've already done the directive, I'll save that before I forget. We're going to need to create a config file for the Tailwind CSS. So if we go back to the site, so there you go. So just copy that. Okay, now that's been built here. Now the next step now is we'll be using PostCSS for our one. So that's what you're going to need this bit here. So first thing first, we need to create a PostCSS file. So if we do that, so touch postcss.config.js. Okay. And now let's set that up. So CSS config. So it's going to be module.exports equals plugins require Tailwind CSS, and we're going to add in the auto prefix also. Excellent. Okay, so that's the PostCSS done. Now we just need to add that onto our npm scripts. So if you open up our package file, so if we change where it says test and we put it as say build CSS, we no longer need what's inside here. So what we're going to type in is PostCSS, and the path where we saved our CSS file, so we saved it in CSS build main.css, and we want it to be outputted to CSS prod main.css. Excellent. Then that should be all of it. So back to the command line, and now we're going to type in npm run build CSS. Then that should compile down the CSS for us inside the same folder. So if you look, prod, now you can see magic, the CSS files there. Okay, now it's time to do some HTML. So if you create a HTML page, so I've just created one here. So if you go touch index.html and just open it up. Okay, so if you just create a standard HTML boilerplate and just call it code will blog. Cool. So now what we've got to do is call in the CSS. I'll show the plugin for this. Link CSS. That's it. So link CSS. So now we put ours in. It was CSS prod main.css. Excellent. So we're just going to put in some standard Tailwind code and see how we get on. So if you just go div c container mx auto, so this just builds us a container and sends it in the middle. H1, let me just say everybody's favourite hello world. We put in some Tailwind variables in here. So if we say class text for Excel, we make the colour white. That means we need to change the background, so we do background next. And we say a font of bold. Okay, let's change the background. So if we do class BG blue 500, and then we just do a paragraph here. So that will be this is a test page. It can be anything to us. It's just to make sure we test if Tailwind worked. Okay, so I just need that. If you're in the browser, just get a link for it. So back to the browser. Looks like it brought it up. I've probably done something wrong. What have I done wrong? Let's have a look. So this is probably one of them where everyone can see it except for me, which I wouldn't be surprised. It's bringing in colours. It's probably just a background I've done wrong. So if we go back to the code. Ah! I didn't put 500 on. My bad. Schoolboy. So, magic. That's much better. Getting rid of it. Okay, so now, if you go back to the design. So when I built this design earlier, there was two fonts that I used. It was Work Sans and Roboto, both of which are fonts in Google Fonts. So let's add these now to the design. So if I go to Google Fonts, okay, so let's add on Roboto first. Roboto, and the ones I tend to do is if you go with regular and regular italic. Oops, that's not italic, that's not regular. So there you go, regular. And now if we do bold and bold italic, usually once I've started building it, I'll usually like change these. If I don't need that, I'll take off the board, but it's only a little demo, so I don't need to worry about it that much. So also we need is work sans. So if you go work sans, there you go. So if you go regular and bold and italic. Okay, so embed into the site. So if we copy the style sheet stuff here, so we copy that and go back to our code, and we just put it here. Okay, and now we need to go to our Tailwind configuration and add in these fonts. So if we go to Tailwind config, so it's going to be font family, I think it is family, if I can spell, font family. And if we go back to what the site said, so it was, copy that. It needs to be added into an array, so I'll just add that in there. Okay, comma at the end. Roboto, and we do the same for work sans. So copy that. C. And then we just put it there, so work sans. You can't put space in this, so I'll just put a hyphen there. Okay, so we then rebuild the CSS again. So npm run build CSS. Now that's building the CSS with the fonts that we just added into it. So if we go back to the index HTML, and we're going to make sure to see if our fonts have changed. So if we do, what should we add it onto? So let's say we add it onto font Roboto onto the header. Font Roboto. Is that correct? Yeah. And then we do one for fonts work sans. So we do that one now. Class font work sans, and now we should see the page change. Yeah, that has changed, but just make sure. So yeah, Roboto and work sans, excellent. Okay. One of the things that I do when I'm building design, I tend to try and stick to the format which Tailwind does. So I've got like grey 050, grey 100, and I put them as local styles, all the colours here. So let's start by inputting these colours into the config as well. So let's go to, so if we create one, if we do it in alphabetical, so we put it above. So if we do colour, colours, extended, comma there. Since it's one of my own ones, I usually prefix it with the project I'm on. So in this case, it's code will also be CW grey 050, and we go back to the site. So if I get that edit style, copy it. Okay. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me put in 8 or 10 different colours. So like in Blue Peter, here's one I've done earlier. So just indent them. So these are just the colours I've added. So I've done grey 050, 100, 700, 800, 900, and then I've done blue, blue 300, blue 400, and blue 600. Okay, now that all the colours have been added on, one last time, I promise, for the rest of this project probably, that we compile the CSS. Usually I would, if I'm using gulp, I would use like a watch command, but since the beauty of Tailwind that, I never saved it. The beauty of Tailwind that once you've compiled the CSS once, you really need to go back into it, unless you're doing like a CSS purge, but you get into that later on. Okay, so whilst that's running, we go to index.html file. So let's see if what we've done works. So let's change this to CW blue 600, and let's change this text from rather being white, let's change it to CW grey 050. Then let's do another one, say CW text CW grey 900. Back to the site. There you go. So that's picking up my new variables. Okay, so that's the scaffolding done. In the next video, we can actually start getting to actual HTML. So subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you know when the next video drops. In the meantime, if you've got any questions, issues, problems, please drop a message in the comments below and I'll see if I can help you out. And one last thing, if you see any value in me putting in the code somewhere, just let me know, make a note in the drop a message in the comments saying that you want the code once it's done, and I'll see if I can put it somewhere. Thanks for the time and appreciate you watching. Bye.